How's it going, friends? Reckless Yugi here. Hopefully, y'all are having a fantastic day. And in this video, I thought I'll do is share with you guys a budget PC build I could game at 1080p, 60 frames per second on high to ultra settings, depending on the game that you're playing. And this is going to be something that the PlayStation 4 really struggles to do, which kind of maxes out at 1080p, but on low settings, and usually runs games at 900p just to maintain the 60 frames per second, which the PlayStation 4 is cheaper than this PC, but this PC is able to do a lot more. And in the long run, PC gaming is cheaper than console gaming. That's something I'll get into in a future video. But for this video, I just want to focus on this budget build to kind of piggyback off the last video I did for you guys, where I showed you off that i7 Skylake build I did for a friend. And I even threw a GTX 980 in there just to make sure it never slowed down at any game, because my friend, all he wanted was 1080p, 60 frames per second on ultra settings, which this PC that I built for him is definitely capable of doing. But if you are also looking at doing that, you don't need to spend the $1,500 that he spent in it. He also wanted to do a lot of other things like Ableton Live and music production. So that's why we kind of seeked a stronger PC for him. But if all you're focused on is just like strictly gaming, you can get 1080p 60 frames per second at a pretty cheap price. And what we're going to build in today's video is going to be, just that, a pure gaming PC that's not really meant to do very much like heavy editing or heavy rendering or any music production. It's just straight up for gaming. So hopefully you guys enjoy. And a little bit of forewarning, I don't actually have any parts to put together to show you, which I kind of don't really like doing these sort of videos, but these sort of videos are also kind of popular where a lot of people appreciate someone going through and putting together a build at a budget. So that's what I'll be doing on my desktop. So we're going to switch over to that in a second. But in the future, I plan on actually doing something like this where I actually buy the parts put together and see how it actually runs instead of just going off of the knowledge on benchmarks I read online. So I guess kind of give me some comments in the comment section below as far as what you think of this video. So I'm not very comfortable with, presenting these videos, but I do know that these videos are sort of popular. So let me know what you think as far as me putting in my opinions on these sort of builds without actually having any hands-on experience with them. If you like them, let me know. I'll continue to do them. If you absolutely despise them and think they suck, let me know and I'll stop. But anyways, we'll switch over to the desktop now, all right? All right, so the first site I'd like to share with you guys is going to be logicalincrements.com. And not just any logical increment sites. We're going to go to my specific landing page to kind of promo this a little bit. And this is the landing page that the guys at Logical Increments were kind enough to make for me. And this will show you guys all my peripherals that you use. So if you're ever curious as to what I use, I have, them listed with a little description if I have time to make the description. And it will lead you over to Amazon through my Amazon affiliate link. So if you ever purchase something from this landing page, I get a little bit of a kickback that is no extra cost to you, but it's something nice to me to help fund my channel to keep going. So it's something that I believe in way better than trying to leech off of you guys through something lame like Patreon or begging for donations. So anyways, this is a landing page that has all my peripherals. And then down here, we have this awesome spreadsheet that shows you different builds at different tiers at different prices. And here at the top, you can see my build specifically, which is completely overkill. I don't recommend it for anyone who's not into trying to do content creation at 4K. If that's not something you're interested in doing, if you just want to play games, then pick something from down here. And anything you pick from here, if you decide you want to go with a fair PC for this price and you pick all these parts, these will be sent to Amazon for Logical Increments affiliate codes so that they could generate some income to keep this site ad-free. This site is 100% ad-free, and the reason why they're able to do that is through the affiliate links here. So if you go to the site and you see something that, catches your eye as far as a build, you want something quick and easy, you just want to buy the parts, put it together, and be done with it, then this site is a fantastic site, and they definitely broke down things for if you have, let's say, $963 to spend, you could pick something in the excellent tier, and if this is really what you want to spend, like all this amount, then they basically broke it down as far as each part to make sure that each part complements another, so you're not going to be spending something like a ridiculous graphics card with a really poor GPU. That wouldn't really make sense. So these guys kind of break down how much you're willing to spend and break down each part that they will recommend to complement each other for a certain level of performance, which you can see here: League of Legends, Dota 2, World of Warcraft, Call of Duty Ghosts, Battlefield 4, and Crysis 3. As you see, the stars are going down because Crysis 3 is ridiculously demanding compared to League of Legends. So League of Legends with this machine, you could play at 4K maxed out settings, where with Crysis 3, you're going to be able to maybe push about 30, 40 frames on 1080p max settings. So just kind of keep that in mind with this. And then also these stars are at max settings or on ultra settings. So if you want to, increase your frame rate, you just have to bump down the settings and you'll be able to reach the next frame rate of about 60 frames. So that's what those stars mean. But anyways, so this is a fantastic site. When I was doing this build, I used this site as a kind of a reference to see where they have things built, and then I kind of used that to piggyback off of my own recommendations as far as what I would recommend if I was to spend as little money possible for 1080p at 60 frames per second. But anyways, so the next site we're going to go to is PC Part Picker, just because it makes it super easy to pick parts for a PC Part Picker. We're going to go up here to start a system build. So here, and as you see, it's a blank slate, clean slate, and we're going to go to the CPU, basically just go down the line, pick parts that we want, and then see the total price. So anyways, choose a CPU, and keep in mind that this part or this build I'm going to do is going to be absolutely like the minimum that I would recommend. You could go cheaper, you could go more expensive, but for me, my personal opinions is the build I'm going to show you guys to build or spend the most, like the absolute minimum amount of money to achieve 1080p at 60 frames per second gaming. So anyways, with that out of the way, we're going to kind of focus on the included merchants. I made sure to only pick Amazon and Newegg because those are the retailers I like shopping with. If you like any of these other retailers, by all means click them, or if you want to make sure you can find the absolute cheapest price possible, go to all, but I like focusing on Amazon and Newegg. Even if I could get something cheaper from SuperBiz, I would rather buy it from Amazon just to make sure that I'm able to get a good return policy in case it comes all broken and messed up. I had great success with Amazon in the past. Can't recommend them enough. I love Amazon, but I'll also include Newegg because they also do a decent job. So anyways, and also I made sure that the mail-in rebates here is unchecked because I don't really like the whole mail-in rebates when it comes to trying to build a budget PC, because regardless of how many rebates you get, you still need the money up front to purchase it, and then you mail it in and then you get money back, and it kind of comes to a hassle where it doesn't really show the true price that you're actually paying up front. So we have that checked off. And then for the CPU, I want a 4-core CPU. And I want the kind of look at the cheapest 4-core CPU I can get that offers a good amount of performance. So 4 cores, go up here, hit price, so it shows me the cheapest prices first. And what we're going to focus on is this AMD Athlon X4 860K. And this has 4 cores, has really good ratings. And the reason why I'm going with this instead of something like a Intel Core i3 is, well, mainly because this is going to be cheaper, and also because when it comes to like DirectX 12 is kind of the new thing that's going to be coming out in the near future, which not a whole lot of information is really known yet. We just have one benchmark that kind of shows that more physical cores is better. So having these 4 physical cores will be better than something with 2 physical cores that's hyper-threaded. So right now, a Core i3 would perform better than this 860K, but I'm going to assume in the future that this 860K might close up the gap just because it has 4 physical cores. So we're going to go with this CPU. That's my logic behind it. If you disagree, please let me know in the comments below, and we'll just move on from there. So anyways, here we'll add the part. And then next, we're going to pick the CPU cooler. So CPU cooler, you could go super cheap or you could go a little bit fancier. And for me, what I like to do is go a little bit fancier, but yet keep on the super cheap side. And the CPU cooler that I'm going to pick for this build is going to be a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo because it has legendary performance and it's still relatively cheap at only $29. So we will pick this. Next is the motherboard. Now the motherboard all I really want with the motherboard is some USB 3.0 headers. Yes, please, because USB 3.0 is nice. And then we're going to see what's the cheapest price we could get a motherboard for. And I also like these ratings so I can kind of see what type of ratings that these motherboards are getting at what specific price. But anyways, we're going to, let's see. I like this. The Gigabyte GAF2A88XM-HD3. It has really strong features, micro ATX, has 64 gigabytes of max RAM included, which is something that we'll never ever hit with this build, but it's nice and also has some decent ratings. So we will pick this. I also like Gigabyte because they are just, a solid company for a motherboard. Actually, no, we're not going to pick that. We're going to pick this one. This one looks a little bit better because it's $10 cheaper, and I doubt that the performance of this one compared to this one will be that much of a difference. So we are going to go with this board, the Gigabyte GAF2A78M D-3 or D3H. So this is the board that we will pick. Next is the memory. So the memory, all you need is 8 gigabytes, and we're going to utilize the dual channel of the motherboard so that we will have 2 sticks of RAM instead of 1. And so we will go down here for the 8 gigabytes, but 2 4 gigabyte sticks. And then just come up here for the price once again to go with the cheapest price possible, and that's this Ballistix Sport at $34.99, or we could just go with the Ballistix Sport XT because that is the same price. So we will do that one. And that looks fine. And then the storage, we're not going to go crazy with the SSD with this because we're trying to keep it as cheap as possible. Once you have the system booted and you're just trying to run games, there's not going to be any difference between going to a spitty disk drive versus a solid state drive. But we are going to want at least 7,200 RPM just to kind of give it a little bit of a performance buff instead of going with like a 5,400 RPM drive. And as far as the capacity, we're going to go with at least a 1 terabyte so you have plenty of storage for your operating system programs and games. And then just come up here for the cheapest price possible. And I like this Seagate Barracuda here. Seagate Barracudas are legendarily cheap, yet offer great performance. And it's 7,200 RPM, 1 terabyte, 64 megabits of cache. Sounds fantastic at $50. All right. Now, next we're going to choose a video card. Now, video card for a budget build is where you want to spend the most of your money as far as, making sure that you're not going to go super cheap in the other components, but this is where you want the cost to really be focused at. And you can either go really high end or really small, but you need to also make sure that your processor is not going to be the bottleneck if you choose a really high end graphics card. With the X4 860K, going with something that I'm going to pick for this build is not going to be a bottleneck. But one thing I want to make sure that we have is at least 4 gigabytes of VRAM. And that's mainly because some games out there like really love having the 4 gigabytes of VRAM, where some it doesn't matter. But like Skyrim, having if you plan on playing Skyrim with a bunch of mods, having 4 gigabytes of VRAM is definitely nice. Just make sure you are able to run all those texture mods. And then some other games, it doesn't matter. So anyways, for a 4 gigabyte VRAM card, we could go something pretty cheap that will perform very well at 1080p 60 frames per second. Once again, go to this price, and we're going to see what type of card we could get. And what I'm shooting for is a 960, and I think this is the one that I'm going to pick, this EVGA for the win ACX 2.0 960 4 gigabyte card at $190. So I think this is the one that I would like to put in the system. Looks fantastic at a nice cheap price from Amazon, free shipping. So that's the one we're going to go with. Add to parts list. And next is going to be the case to hold all this together. Then after that, power supply. But anyways, as far as the case, I could care less what the case looks like, especially for a budget build. I just want the cheapest case that's just going to hold all this stuff, that doesn't have too terrible of airflow, but yet isn't going to be, super ridiculously expensive. And you can make this as cheap as you want or as expensive as you want. But let's see. All I really want is to make sure is that I have some front panel USB 3.0 headers. Yes, please. And then it should sort that out. And then we're going to go with the price to see what's the cheapest one we could get. And we could go with this Deep Cool, whatever that is, Tesseract, which is the ATX Mid Tower case, but it only has 2.5 stars. I'm not sure why. But the one that I was looking at is going to be this Xion XON 310 BK for like $24, I guess $28 at Newegg before you have this little promo code discount. And, it's not a bad case. Like, some people say for the case, like from the reviews I read, they really like this case for the money. Like, for the money, you just can't beat this case. It's a really great performer, so this is what we're going to get. Now, if you want something nicer, you can spend a little bit extra money, but this is just the one I'm going to choose for this build just because it's dirt cheap. And then finally, the power supply. So because the estimated wattage here is about 314, which I'm going to assume that we're going to use a little bit more, I don't think we're going to hit over 400 watts, but just to play on the safe side, I'm going to look for a 500 watt power supply. So for the power supplies, go here. And let's see. Things I want to look at when it comes to power supplies is I would like to at least have semi-modular, so I don't have a bunch of cords dangling everywhere. And a full module would be nice, but I doubt we're going to find one at full module for the price I'm looking for. And we want to make sure it's at least a 80 plus. So we'll just go 80 plus bronze, 80 plus gold, and see what kind of a power supply we can find. Once again, go the price cheapest. And I really like this Corsair for the price of $54. It's semi-modular, has 500 watts, 80 plus bronze, which is all you really need. And it has great performance from 179 reviewers. They all gave it 4.5 stars. So that sounds like a great power supply to me. And you want to make sure you don't go absolutely dirt cheap with a power supply. Make sure you go with a company that's reputable. Corsair is a reputable company, because if your power supply goes, it could start a fire. It could take something along with it, like your motherboard or your video card or something. So that would definitely be a bad day. So make sure you don't completely skimp on the power supply, but you don't need to go absolutely crazy either. So we're going to pick this Corsair CX 500M power supply. And so that looks like that's about it. Like, I don't really care for an optical drive because you don't really need it. You could load up Windows without it. And I'm assuming that you guys are probably going to look for Windows 10. And this looks like a pretty solid build. So we have everything here, and we'll just scroll down to the total price. So the total price is $516.92, and that's just the base price. So that's how much you're going to have to spend out of pocket currently as the prices stay here. But keep in mind that the prices always fluctuate, and not everything here will continue to be in stock. Things will eventually go out of stock and in stock, but this is just the price build I was able to do as of today's date, which is, what, the 29th, I think? Yeah, 29th of October at 2:05 p.m. So this is a pretty solid build in my opinion. Now, if you want a link to any of these, I'll link each part individually in the description below, in the video or in video description. And also I will link this PC part picker number, so you guys could come here specifically if you want to look at that. And if you decide to buy any parts, like if it's from Amazon, definitely click on my Amazon affiliate links. It helps me out, doesn't cost you anything, helps me out so I can further progress the channel. And that's about it for the video. So, like, once again, if you stuck around this whole video, or even if you didn't, if you left comments in the comment section, I'll be sure to read them and let me know what you think of the video. If it sucked, tell me it sucked. If you thought it was good, you'd want more, tell me you thought it was good, you'd want more. But for this price of $516, I think it's a pretty badass build, and I would definitely love to build this in the future, but I gotta wait until I'm able to fund something like this a little bit easier. But anyways, that's it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I will talk to you guys again in the next one, all right? Bye-bye.